Unbroken, a Sentinels and Guardians novel by Engle. Chapter 4. Down, Harrison hissed. I dropped onto my belly as fast as I could. I turned my head just in time to see Harrison flatten out alongside the wall, keeping only his head raised and aiming down the hallway between his feet. We were in a central hallway. The only light came from a single low-watt emergency bulb that clicked on moments after the power went out. It backlit us from our attacker's perspective, while leaving the end of the hallway layered in shadows. The man from the stairwell stuck his head out enough to see and no more, with his pistol appearing just below. Whether he had known what was about to happen, or was just taking advantage of it, he obviously hoped to catch us off guard by the sudden darkness. But it was Harrison's revolver that roared first. Chips flew from the wood paneling and sheetrock at the corner of the wall, forcing the other gunman to duck for cover again. I scrambled for the door where the first gunman had fired at us, and nearly fell when the door opened for me. What I had taken to be every deadbolt on the floor triggering had, in actuality, been every deadbolt minus one, which made these guys even scarier, because someone had triggered all the locks and lights, while leaving the first gunman with the really deep voice a way out. Maybe that meant the stairs remained open too? If we could only get the girl, maybe. Behind me, I heard Harrison climbing to his feet while snapping off another round down the hallway. He hobbled over, and I shut the door after him. It wasn't a room after all. We found ourselves in a short entry hallway with doors on all four sides. To the left, there were interior windows on either side of a file room entrance. The door to our right was labeled Utilities Access. I didn't see the first goon or the girl inside the long filing room. Sunlight streamed in through cracks in the blinds, but rows of metal shelves and filing cabinets and hanging ceiling tiles created a lot of shadows. And the room was a mess. A one-man tornado had ravaged the place, knocking over cabinets, smashing shelving, and destroying virtually everything in sight. Then there was the ice. It glimmered and splashed throughout the room. "We're trapped between two armed men," Harrison said, breathing hard and leaning against the wall beneath another emergency light. Sweat trickled down the security guard's face, a face that seemed paler than earlier. "God willing, help can still get to us. But for now, it's just you and me." "Are you seriously smiling?" he asked incredulously. I hadn't realized it, but yeah, I was. I shrugged. "It's exciting." "Yeah, well, there's also a strong possibility we won't make it out of here. Any second that oversized monster in there is going to investigate the gunshots, and his buddy has us boxed in from behind. If there's something you can do that you haven't told me about, now is the time." His words took me by surprise. For the second time today, I was being accused of possessing abilities. Was I wearing a sign? Carl had spoken unknowingly out of fear, but Harrison sounded like he suspected something. Really suspected something. Well, I had come to him claiming to know something that hadn't happened yet. I guess after seeing what had been done to Carl, it wasn't much of a stretch to assume I could be packing superpowers too. Harrison had shown a willingness to accept my flimsy warnings that something terrible was going to happen without being given any real proof. Then there was the way he had reacted, decisively and intelligently, to the life-threatening situations he had been thrust into. And suddenly I realized something about him. Not only did his faith give him the ability to accept and adapt to the sudden strangeness surrounding us, but he also knew what it was like to fight for his life. A whole world of questions opened up in my mind, none of which I had time to seek answers for. Providence, I thought, for the second time that morning. "I am different," I confessed. "Different like the girl we came up here looking for might be different. But there's nothing I can do to help us. I'm sorry." Both of our heads swung toward the file room when a sudden roar of anger and the accompanying sound of breaking glass put our conversation on hold. No, not glass. breaking ice. Harrison immediately started reloading his revolver. "Exactly how big is this guy?" I inquired. I hadn't been able to catch a glimpse of him earlier. "Big," was all Harrison said, and that said a lot. The security guard had to be close to 6 feet tall, with broad shoulders and the comfortable belly most men acquired in their late Middle Ages. He was no small fry like me. There was a second, louder sound of more shattering ice. Then the same deep voice we had heard threatening us earlier said, "When I get my hands on you, you'll wish I were here to kill you." After a short pause, he spoke again. "Bravo, what's going on out there?" "Two tangos have entered behind you, Alpha." The answer came from the other side of the nearest door, causing me to start. "One is an armed guard, the other is a kid." "Bravo, what is wrong with you?" Alpha demanded. Harrison planted his shoulder against the door and flipped the deadbolt manually. It sounded heavy-duty. The door and frame were all heavy construction. I doubted anyone was going to be getting in that way. Bravo's professionalism disappeared when he replied, "The little snot made me bite my tongue. Gamma, open the friggin' door." The deadbolt clunked back seemingly of its own accord. The handle turned and the door was struck from the other side, eliciting a groan of pain from Harrison as it drove him back a step. But the security guard gritted his teeth, dropped his shoulder, and rammed the door shut again. "Get out of here. Hide," Harrison ordered. "I can't hold this long." Another blow made him slide a bit. A second quickly followed before the security guard could push the door closed again. I saw his wounded leg buckle for just a moment before recovering. A third hit from the outside widened the opening another inch. I had an idea. I wasn't sure if it was a good one, but it was all I had. "I hope there's room up there," I thought. I took 2 running steps forward, kicked 1 foot off the wall, and used the other to push off the utility room's door handle. My hands hit the ceiling tile and managed to knock it up enough that I was able to grab the top of the wall. My feet scrambled as I tried to pull myself up. I would never have made it had I still been wearing socks. I'm not sure who was surprised more when I popped up through the ceiling, the young girl skittering across the support beam not 5 feet away, or me. She froze with eyes widening like saucers, while I nearly overcompensated and rolled right off the wall and into the utility room. Hi," I said, because I was smooth like that. She was just a kid, maybe 7 or 8. Her hand came up, her palm extending toward me. The air between us started to sparkle. It felt like a winter breeze was suddenly slapping my face. "Oh, that's neat," I exclaimed, fascinated, when I probably should have been a little more concerned about having my head frozen in a block of ice than appreciating the crazy visuals. Water congealed right out of the air and flew at my face. I had to squint through the sudden storm of rain to sleet to ice. The girl dropped her hand. Slush caked my face and shoulders. A massive impact shook the wall I was clinging to. The ceiling tile I had displaced dangled precariously. I stuck my head back through the hole as it gave up and fell, and saw Harrison locked in a grappling match with Bravo, fighting over a gun. He was bigger than his attacker, but the other guy didn't play fair. Bravo hammered into Harrison's wounded leg with his knee. The security guard shouted in pain, but somehow managed to drag them both to the floor as his leg gave out. My eyes locked on where Harrison's revolver lay on the carpet, not 3 feet from the struggling men. I tried not to think about what I was doing, because I wasn't sure I could do it otherwise. I swung down from the wall, knocking loose another ceiling tile in the process, and reached for the firearm. Could I shoot a man to save someone else? I didn't get the chance to find out. One moment my fingers were about to close on the wooden grip. The next, a vice had closed around my neck, lifted me from my feet, and hurled me at the door at the far end of the short hallway. I hit and fell to my hands and knees, the right side of my body going temporarily numb from the collision. Big feet and shiny black shoes approached. A giant hand wrapped around my neck for the second time and picked me up as though I weighed nothing. Alpha held me at arm's length with a mocking grin on his face. His bulk, wrapped in a designer black suit and tie, barely fit in the small hallway. His shoulders were close to brushing both walls at once, and his head, topped with curly black hair, stopped less than a foot shy of the ceiling. "You picked the wrong day to come here," he said. Then he brought me forward just so he could smash me backward, driving me through the closed door before letting go. Metal screeched, wood splintered, and something popped and flew free from the locking mechanism as the door crashed open. The back of my shoulders took the brunt of the battering, but my head hit the door, then clipped the corner of an office chair before I found myself on the carpet. For the second time in just a matter of seconds, I enjoyed a sparkly light show. I preferred the cold, non-concussed one to the one where the world didn't seem to be swaying about. My body thought it would be a good idea to lie still and groan for a bit, while it decided how much pain I should be feeling. I argued that staying still would be bad, very bad. We compromised. I groaned and rolled, barely dodging as a foot stomped where my knees had been, a blow meant to cripple me. "Gotta say, kid, I'm surprised you're still moving." The man had a pistol held loosely in his right hand, its barrel doubled in length by the attached suppressor. Absently, Alpha brushed away a few fragments of ice still clinging to his suit. "Heck, I'm surprised you're still breathing. Kids these days seem to be so darn fragile. Figured that should have broken you to bits. Guess you're tougher than you look." I climbed to my feet with the aid of the room's corner walls. A rectangular table ran down the center of the floor, with chairs surrounding three of its sides. A big flat-screen monitor was mounted on the farthest wall from me. We were in a conference room meant to comfortably hold 12 people. "I think we got off on the wrong foot," I said. With all the shooting and whatnot. Maybe we could talk things out before more violence?" Alpha smiled, tucking his head to fit beneath the doorframe. "I like violence," he said. "And you're obviously good at it." Suddenly the room seemed to be very crowded. I started circling the table, keeping my back to the row of windows. "Why are you here, little boy?" Alpha asked, stalking closer. "If you had run, you might have lived a little longer. I still would have had to track you down and kill you, but you could have lived beyond the next few minutes. Now you'll die, here and now." Okay, I admit that was unnerving. It's not every day you hear someone speak of killing you face to face. There was a loud thump out in the hallway, followed by a few banging sounds, as if something was being repeatedly driven against a wall. "Mr. Harrison, you okay?" I called out. He didn't answer. Alpha took hold of a corner of the conference table with one hand and, with a contemptuous flick of his wrist, toppled it onto its side. "If you're going to kill me anyway, can I at least know why?" I asked. "Why are you chasing the girl?" "You read comics? Like movies?" Alpha stepped over the table leg. Without waiting for my answer, he continued, "She's an escaped experiment the government can't allow the public to know about. Too bad for you. You're the public." "Cool. Secret labs, government conspiracies?" My choice of words stopped Alpha from moving forward. His big, dark unibrow grew pinched over his nose, and that's when I first got scared. I enjoyed word games. I didn't play them to be mean or to make fun of people. I just viewed them as mini brain teasers, and I liked kidding around. While Carl had missed not one, but multiple back-to-back puns, Alpha had gotten it immediately. He had heard it and picked up on it. This huge man could not only flip over several 100 pounds of hardwood table like it was made of lightweight plastic, but he had a mind capable of quick thought processing too. And now, thanks to my stupid mouth, he knew I knew what the girl could do. "Thank you," he said. Now I am absolutely certain you need to disappear for good. His arm came up, and from my angle the gun barrel looked like the mouth of a cannon. I dove over the table and landed awkwardly on top of a chair. I rolled off it and repositioned the seat between me and Alpha's gun. He laughed. Really? You think that's gonna save you? Works in the movies? I muttered. I adjusted my feet, and with a heave of my legs sent the chair flying at Alpha. He caught it and flung it back at me all in one motion. One of the chair legs put a hole in the wall as I skittered out of the way, making for the door, only to find Bravo entering at the same time. I ran smack into the man's chest. He tried to grab me again, so I lunged up and drove the top of my head against the bottom of his chin again. He exclaimed, or something to that effect. He fell back a step but spread out his arms, catching himself on the doorframe and blocking my exit. Mr. Harrison? I called again, but I still received no response. I caught a glimpse of a prone form behind Bravo. Alpha was circling back around the end of the table. I backpedaled a couple of steps, nearly tripped over a chair, then did trip over another chair. With the speed of a much smaller man, Alpha took one long stride before taking a backhanded swing at me. The side of his fist caught me in the rib cage as I was standing. The angle of the strike launched me up and over the table. My head and shoulders hit the window, hard. I landed splayed out against the wall, right knee folded under me, one arm on the windowsill and head pounding. Alpha was enjoying himself. His villainous smile nearly split his face in two. My blood was a pulsing river in my ears, and the vast majority of my body felt battered and bruised as I regained my feet. I looked up at Alpha and returned his smile. At least we were both having fun. Although worry over Harrison's current condition tinged mine, I wasn't going to let him know that. You're all kinds of crazy, kid, he said. Then he picked up another office chair and took another backhanded swing at me. I ducked. The chair hit the window, causing a loud vibration before rebounding and landing halfway across the room. Alpha didn't notice the ceiling tile move, or the lock of blonde hair that tumbled out, nor did he see the small, pale hand that followed, all of which caused my smile to grow and brought a taunt to the tip of my tongue. But what I didn't see was Bravo moving up behind the much bigger man until he suddenly stepped out around him. My taunt died before it could leave my lips. I squatted and instinctively covered my head. Bravo's pistol spit fire as it coughed 3 times in rapid succession. I heard the bullets punching through the window pane. Then a miniature ice storm glazed my side, my upraised arm getting the worst of it. Adios, kid, Alpha said. I tried to leap back, but there was nowhere to go. Alpha's foot pounded into my chest, crushing me against the tortured window pane for the smallest fraction of a second, until it broke, flinging it and me into the bright morning sun. Stay tuned for Chapter 5.